today?
Speedrun! Viva la baloney, motherfucker!
Hello, 8-Bit Breakdown!
Speedrun! Viva la baloney, motherfucker!
Cig Neutron! Sleazy Neutron!
What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play today? What you gonna play today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do today? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna play? What you gonna do today? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna do?
Hello, 8-Bit Breakdown!
Speedrun! Viva la baloney, motherfucker!
Cig Neutron! Sleazy Neutron!
What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play today? What you gonna play today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do today? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna play? What you gonna do today? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna do?
Hello, 8-Bit Breakdown!
Speedrun! Viva la baloney, motherfucker!
Sig Neutron, Sleazy Smutron!
What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play today? What you gonna play today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play today? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? Say what you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna do?
Hello, 8-Bit Breakdown!
Leave a lot baloney, motherfucker.
Sig Neutron, Sleazy Smutron!
What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play today? What you gonna play today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say today? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play today? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? Say what you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna do?
Hello, 8-Bit Breakdown!
Leave a lot baloney, motherfucker.
Sig Neutron, Sleazy Smutron!
What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna play? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? What you gonna...
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Irreverend Cig Sunday service. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, what's up to the people on the Facebook? And what's up to y'all on the Twitch? Sorry, I had to light my candles and stuff. So, man, thank you guys so much for joining me. We already got a lot of folks up in the chats. So, yeah, this is exciting. This is the second day. What's up, Megan? Tiffany? Hey, thanks for coming back. So this episode, or today, last week we did some stuff for Australia. And did you guys see, like, I shit you not, the day after the news broke and there was, like, this huge, like, rainstorm coming to Australia. I'm not making this shit up. Like, coincidence, you know... I personally don't think so. So, hey, what's up, Witch King? Man. All right, so to all of you guys that are joining me again, who's been keeping up with, who's been doing 20 minutes every day since last Sunday? And what have you guys experienced? Are you guys, like, seeing results? Are you feel like you're getting somewhere? Oh, yeah, I forgot. I made some... just make weird music that I just have in the background. So today we're gonna do some. We're gonna take a step back because like we did the visualization for Australia last week, and that's good. And obviously, I mean, it worked because in addition to like us, there are people all over the world that were doing rituals and meditations and putting intent to help bring rain to Australia. And I honestly, truly believe that the power of the mind is a crazy powerful thing. And can you imagine if we all, like, what would the world be like if we all believed that our minds affected, like our reality? And like, man, if we had concerted efforts, like global meditations and things, can you imagine? Like, that's the kind of world like I'm trying to work for, is to get everybody to see the power of meditation and the benefits of not just for yourself, but like for the collective as a whole. So awesome, we got some first timers, Ashley. Sweet. So what I do is usually, I mean, this is only the second episode, but I kind of like spiel a little bit, riff about what I've learned this week, random thoughts that I'm thinking, and then I'll take you guys on a meditation. And this time I'm gonna use my djembe because we're gonna do a heart-brain coherence meditation. So if you guys don't know, we actually have neurons in our heart and in our gut. So our hearts, this is science, okay? Like, I like to shift back between science and spirituality. So science actually tells us that there are neurons in our heart and in our stomach. So if you feel like, we always have this expression like, oh, my heart is telling me this, and like my mind says this, or my body is telling me no. Oh wait, is that R. Kelly? I shouldn't even reference that. Oh God, yeah, that's just terrible. Never mind, forget I said that. Anyways, yeah, so our hearts actually think thoughts, and this system's all connected. But what happens is our mind is out of sync with our heart, and sometimes it's out of sync with our gut. So what we're trying to do here is today we're going to focus on resyncing the heart and the mind, because once I started doing that was when my meditation like really started to take off, and I started to see the benefits. So Greg Braden from Missing Links taught me this heart-brain coherence like little practice, and I'll share it with you guys. But man, if you guys have been following my Facebook posts, I post daily like a little update, and I'm trying to do, my goal is to do one every day, and then at the end of the year I'm going to compile them all into a book. And so I just document how I'm thinking, what I think that day, like good and bad. And I wrote down just last night, it's like I document all my feelings, both good and bad, not because I think that they're permanent, but because I know they're transient and my feelings have something to teach me. So think about that. And I would suggest you all, like, even if you don't post it to Facebook, I'd suggest like journaling like every day, and just whatever you're feeling at the moment. And it also helps, like if you're feeling negative, it helps release the negative emotion. And if you're feeling positive, it helps, like generate more positivity because you're focused and you're thinking about what's making you happy. So either way, it's serving a purpose, a practical purpose. And that's what Irreverentism is all about. It's to show people that spirituality is practicality. Because that's what, it's just, even if you don't want to believe in the spiritual side of all of this meditation and all of this stuff, it's still visualizations, and it's still helping your mind develop systems of thinking to help you navigate life and live your best life. So that's what we're about here. That's what Irreverentism is about. If you want to define it as spiritual, cool. If you want to define it as just practical ways of thinking, awesome. We accept both of those here. So we're just trying to drop all that religious dogma and get away from that. We're just getting back to like real core human interaction. Oh no, is the stream frozen on Facebook? We have a lot of issues with the Facebook stream freezing. I'm still getting your comments, so maybe just have to refresh it. So yesterday, holy shit, I've been documenting all of my thoughts, and throughout the week, I just like wasn't feeling like I was getting anywhere. And I didn't feel like, I don't know, you ever feel like that? It's like, shit, what am I doing with my life? Especially like if you're an artist and creative and you're going out there and you're trying to be or even entrepreneurs. Sometimes you feel like, man, am I making the right call, or have I been wasting time? Or that carrot, and you're always trying to grab it. That's kind of how I was feeling all week. And then yesterday, man, it just like the lid blew off and I had one of those like aha moments. Like yesterday was a day of divine inspiration for sure. Holy shit. I tried to like recount, like I furiously was writing and taking notes, and basically I realized yesterday that all of these random things that I was doing in my life that I thought were like never panned out, it was just, I was actually just planting seeds. And I wrote in my Facebook post yesterday, it's like I've been tending to this garden for like 30 years of my life, and I finally stopped and I looked around and I appreciated the work that I put into this garden, and just having that gratitude and appreciation, like all the flowers just bloomed up and just like showered me in like radiant wisdom. And like that was just like a really powerful feeling yesterday, and it was like, and that's what we're living for, those aha moments. So what I want to tell you guys is that if you feel lost and you don't know, you think, man, I've tried all these things out and nothing's panning out, well, take a look. Basically think of your life as a puzzle, and you've got to put together enough of the pieces to where you can start to see the bigger picture. And yesterday I finally started to see the bigger picture of the puzzle of my life, and now I can consciously add the pieces with more intent to build out the full picture. So if you feel lost, you're just putting your puzzle together. You may not see the big picture yet, but keep going, and as long as you don't give up, you'll see it. So that's my big wisdom thing for today. Anybody got any I also want these days too to be like, I don't know, we just get together and we connect. So does anybody have anything stressful or any story or good or bad they want to share throughout the week? Yeah, Randy is right. Meditation helps you find the pieces for your puzzle. And that's also why I wanted to start doing these live streams today, or like on Sundays, every Sunday at noon. Just getting people reconnected with, again, if you don't want to look at it as spirit, you can just look at it as reconnecting with your mind. Because we all have emotions, we all have feelings, and we know, like, that's real. You know, you can't deny the emotions and feelings that you have. And sometimes most of those emotions and feelings are completely inexplicable. So what meditation does, and also what I'm trying to impart to you, is looking at those feelings and dissecting them and taking inventory of them and really getting to know your feelings. It's not about like if you feel negative, you feel sad or something. It's not about trying to push away that sadness. It's about exploring that sadness and seeing what that sadness has to teach you. Because once you learn the lesson of negative emotions, that's when you release them. Because they're there because they're trying to tell you something. Whether it's your life choices or whatever you're doing, like that's what your emotions. Emotions are the language in which the universe talks to us. Whether it's our ancestors or whatever. And if you don't want to believe in all that, just look at it as your own brain and your own mind is telling you something is wrong with your choices, or we need to get your attention so you can focus on this. And that's usually when, if positive reinforcement isn't working, then sometimes the universe has to negatively show you things. And some lessons can only be learned through like a struggle and negative things. It's the alchemical process of man. We have to, like, the Negretto phase is the black phase where you're in the dark. And I look at that as my alcoholism time. Like the 6 years I spent as an alcoholic, that was my dark time. And even though it seemed like I was wasting my life and stuff, I was actually in the dark learning lessons. I look at like dark times in your life as I always relate it to D&D. Like dark patches in life is like the dungeons. It's like they're tough and they're dangerous, but that's where all the good treasure is. So the trick is getting back alive. So when you're in those dark times in your life, you got to put in the work to come back and bring those treasures with you. And then you've gained experience from adventuring. So you're that much stronger and you have new skills and abilities and new knowledge. So this is what life is about. It's about the adventure, and it's about the struggle, and it's about what you learn from the struggle. So always know that negative emotions have something to teach you. Because a lot of the new age movements are, love and light and stuff. And yes, that is what we're striving for, is love and light, because that is the higher vibrational feelings and energies and systems of operating. But the lower vibrations, they have a point too. So we can't write them off. Like I always say love, light, and shadow, because we have to embrace our shadows. There's so much to learn from the shadow. So don't write off your shadow. So Witch King, I've been doing a lot of genealogy the last month, and a distant relative shared a letter one of our ancestors wrote. The letter was about his road trip to see family before heading on a year-long trip to China in the late 1930s. My ancestor died in China, so it's nice knowing he got to see all of his family one last time. Man, it's so cool. It's like, I really recommend, if you guys can, start researching your genealogy and your ancestors, because they're so important. And if you want to look at, again, I like to present both sides, the spiritual and the practical view. Spiritually, our ancestors are there, and they're helping to guide us, and they're looking out for us, because you're connected to your ancestors. And when you do good, it somehow, in a dimension outside of time and space, helps your ancestors. So, but if you want to look at it, practically, there is science behind the fact that genetic trauma is a real thing. Trauma can be encoded into your DNA from your parents. So that's why alcoholism is a very big, it gets passed, cycles of abuse. It's all cyclical, and it passes throughout the generations. So that's actual practical ways to look at this. And what you need, and to break those cycles, you just have to make better choices, and you have to understand why you're feeling these sorts of ways, and you have to take steps to rise above those and purge those things. And then you, in turn, you break that from your whole line, and it's all about breaking negative cycles. And I believe us as humanity, things seem so crazy right now because we are collectively processing our traumas. If you look at the history of the United States alone, we had the Trail of Tears, just all of the horrible injustices that have been done to the Native Americans, slavery. There was some really savage, terrible things that happened in our history, and that is all ingrained in all of our DNA. So right now, we're at a point, socially and technologically, that we can actually have the means to come together in ways that we've never been able to before. And it seems crazy and it seems weird, but it's this is just us collectively purging these negative emotions and actually dealing with them. So try to keep that in mind when you look at any sort of racial tension or anything like that. This is centuries of ancestral trauma that we're all trying to do our best to collectively process and purge right now. I kind of feel that I went through a dark black times when my dad died 10 years ago, and I've always felt like I wasted 5 years there, but I did a good job after that. Yeah, I was grieving, but at the time I thought I shouldn't have for so long. Sometimes it takes a minute, Yep, Randy is right. You took just as much time as you needed. So it's the things that I've realized is that life, you can only get to those aha moments once you, all the pieces had been put into place. Basically, we lit a fire the other day, and it was for our ancestors. We do different rituals. Now we have a fireplace, but as I was setting up the fire, I was paying attention to because the last fire I set up, I didn't place the things right, and I didn't have kindling, and I lit it, and then it fizzled out. But then if you set up your pieces correctly, and then you only have to strike the match one time for the whole fire to start a blaze. So if you look at things like that, the elements and everything, they have little lessons to teach you, and they talk to you in those ways. That was my lesson from fire, is that what I've been doing is I've been setting up my little pieces, and then I'm about ready to strike the match now. So it feels like all of my life has been unrelated, but actually I'm just getting a piece of wood here, a piece of kindling here, and I'm starting to construct it in a way that all it takes is that single match, and then I've got a blaze going. So what you've been doing is foraging for materials to light your fire. So don't think that any of that is a waste of time, because you can't start a fire without things to burn. And I like to relate, another epiphany that I had yesterday is that elements, you can relate them to actions. The actions that we take, if you're fired up about something, why do we have these expressions oh shit, I'm just so fired up? And it's you're using the element of fire to describe a feeling that you have about something. So, like, why does that correlate? It's because, like, everything is elemental, but whether in idea or in, like, practicality. And so it's, I don't know, I think elemental wisdom is really, pay attention, you know? And they, like, if you're really in tune with water elements, I bet you love taking baths. Just sitting in a nice warm bath, like you feel so comforted and stuff. Why do you feel comforted? Because that water, that element, it's like everything has consciousness, and the water has a consciousness. It is there, like, comforting you, and it's there, like, it's, you know, providing its wisdom, providing its comfort. Same thing with fire. Why as humans are we so apt to, like, sit around a fire and be comforted? Like, my whole life I have been so like wind and fire. And it's crazy because now I'm learning I'm an air sign, so it's like it makes sense, but I just love standing out in, like, windy days and just, like, letting the wind just, like, blow past me. And ever since I was a kid, I even thought, like, the wind like, I felt inherently that the wind was something. Like, I had OCD growing up, so I thought that everything had feelings. I wouldn't throw trash away. My pockets would be full of trash because I didn't want to make anything feel unwanted. And now I know that consciousness runs through everything. It's different levels of consciousness, but everything is conscious because everything is the mind. Like, I believe we're in the mind of some greater being, and we're just separate parts of a whole. But I mean, even practically, you can look at that. We're all a part of the ecosystem, but we're separate parts, you know? But yeah, and Randy's right. Sometimes you need elements opposite of what is bothering you to balance yourself out. So, for instance, like fire. You get fired up about something. Sometimes that's good. Like, you gotta get people excited for an idea. You're like, let's fucking do this, guys. We're gonna fucking do it. And then, like, you're fired up. But then, like, if you're that guy, and then you're like, yeah, we're fired up. We're fucking doing this. And then you're like, you are fucking doing this. We're fucking doing this. You know, and then you start, like, shouting at your friends and stuff. And they're like, whoa, dude. Okay. I mean, like, you had me, but now, like, too much, man. Tone it back. So it's like, this is how you balance. And then, like, you temper different elements with other elements. So the best way to think of your personality archetypes as different elements, and then you can see which element you need to balance out your personality. Oh, I love thunderstorms too. Like, ever since I was a kid. That was, yeah, absolutely. And Randy says, with anxiety and depression, look to air and breathe. So if you're feeling anxious or you're feeling depressed, have you ever just tried, like, stopping for a second and just taking a deep breath? Why is that the advice that everybody gives you? Is take a deep breath. And it's like, you may have tried that, but were you actively believing that breath was calming you down and resetting you, and believing that element of air coming into you was resetting you? Again, you could believe that spiritually, that air coming into your lungs is, like, healing and is balancing you out. Also, you can think of it practically as, okay, I'm starting to freak out, but I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna just breathe, and I'm gonna focus on my breath, and that's gonna calm me down because I don't need to think of anything else. I'm just thinking of, you know, like, the air. So it's like, see how there's practical ways to think of it and then spiritual ways to think of it? Morning, Melanie. And also, yeah, so what I've learned, a really powerful thing is grounding. Touching trees, man. Now I finally understand, like, tree huggers. Like, it's crazy, man, but, like, if you give these things a chance, you see that they work. And even if you don't believe in the spiritual side, if you go outside and you do this little ritual of, like, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and I'm gonna go touch a tree, and I'm just that tree's gonna make me feel better. If you convince yourself that tree is gonna make you feel better, then it's gonna make you feel better, because it takes you out of the cycle, out of the moment, and it's a little reset, it's a little reprieve. So if you, you know, again, practical or spiritual, doesn't matter how you want to define it. What matters is if it works for you and it helps you live your best life. So that's my big message of Irreverentism, and I'm trying to start this philosophical movement thereof. So, and you could take any practices from any. You could read runes, you could read bones, you could pray to the Christian God, like, whatever you need to do, however you want to interface with the other elements, that's totally up to you. And you can even take mixed different things. Like, Randy and I, we have like someday I'll like I mean you can listen to our podcast Sputron about it, but we steal all kinds of techniques from like voodoo, like everything, and it's not really stealing. Is these things are just inherent to like humans. Like these are, I call it the interface of God. It's like whatever you want to call God, you need a way to interface with the other side. And grounding is important because of our body's charge and the earth's charge, like recharging our batteries. That's also very true. And there is actual science behind electromagnetic fields of the earth and our bodies. Like we create an electromagnetic field. And there's actually studies where I find this very fascinating. I tell it all the time. When colicky babies, they wouldn't stop crying. They did this test where the woman would take off her shoes and stand in the ground and hold the baby. And immediately, like, the baby would stop crying. Just because it's just some kind of, like, energy you connected a circuit with the earth. So if you're like me, and you hate going barefoot outside because I used to do it all the time, and I stepped on many bees and many pieces of glass, so my whole adult life I just wore shoes. And think about it, we wear shoes to walk through the grass, and what are shoes? They're rubber. So we're literally insulating ourselves from the electromagnetic flow of the earth. So if you feel like you need to reset or something, yeah, go. The beach is great. Go somewhere, like kick off your shoes and just stand for a minute, or like touching the earth, and just like chill, and then feel, like actively think about feeling that grounding energy from the earth. Again, if you don't want to believe the spiritual side, you're directing your mind to an intent to have an effect on your body. So that's the practical side. So, all right. So I think that's my spiel for most of today. So now we're gonna try out this thing, and as I go through this, I'm trying my best to like mix this sound correctly. But we're gonna do like a heart-brain coherence meditation. So right now, like, I honestly, the first time I did this, I saw like an immediate effect. So let's see. Let me think of how to do this, because I'm gonna play the djembe, but I'll try to. We'll go through try to get not the hum of the computer in it this time, because that sucked. But all right. So we'll do it this way. So I'll start with. So get comfy. Sit in that pyramid pose I told you, the cross-legged one that everybody says. Hopefully you've lit a candle by now. If not, now's a good time to light a candle with the intention of like just connecting. And oh wow, the 4.4 earthquake today. Dang. Everybody okay? Okay, so all right, so just relax, and then again, like we'll get into like advanced mudras later, but for now you can just touch the thumb and the finger together, because as I said last time, our fingers are little antennas, and then how we move them depends on like how we direct and the energy flow of our body, again connecting circuits. And how genius is that? Like for like biotechnology, like if we want to interface with different energies, we just do different like finger movements. Like that's an amazing design, and that's also like I believe is a creative intelligence that designed us that way. So whatever you want to call that intelligence. Okay, so close your eyes and then just take a deep breath. Now put your hands together and then put them right up on your sternum so that you touch your heart. And then close your eyes and just slow your breathing. And now imagine your heart like a light radiating out of your heart. And then imagine a light radiating out of your brain. And then just slow your breathing and use like touching your heart. Help that like focus yourself on your heart, like feeling the pressure from your hands on your heart. And now imagine a beam of light connecting your heart and your brain. And then just say to yourself, talk to yourself, and say that you want to connect with your heart. You want your brain and your heart to reconnect and get on the same wavelength. And now just focus on connecting your heart and your brain, whether you visualize a light between the two or you just open up a dialogue with your heart and you're like, hey, I love you, heart. And I think it's time that we got together in coherence. So with your eyes closed, I'm going to start a nice little meditative beat for you guys. A heartbeat, if you will. But just keep focused. And then we're going to do a 20-minute meditation here. So focus on that connection with your heart. If you want to clear your mind, just focus on the beat. Now, if you want to reconnect with your heart, just imagine dancing with your heart. What does it feel like to dance with your heart and reconnect? yourself, it's working. It's making you that much stronger. Imagine the beat is helping you get in harmony with your own heart. You're doing great. Sorry for the abrupt end there, but well, yeah, I could have ended gracefully, but so now just gently bring your awareness back to the room, and just notice how you feel right now. Do you, which I'm curious, like everybody that followed along, how do you feel right now? Let me know in the chat. So there's a lot of shamanic work and things involve rhythmic drumming, and the rhythm is a good focal point because a lot of people don't know how to clear their minds. The rhythm is a good focal point when you don't have to anticipate a rhythm, you just feel it. So when you're just feeling the rhythm, you're not even thinking about anything, you're just thinking about that rhythm. And the reason why I try to do like a heartbeat type beat is to just further get you thinking about your heart. And yeah, so how is everybody? You still with me? Mako Bell got here late, but it was incredibly calming. Awesome. Good to hear. Gillimax, you feel limp? You feel like a Mako Bell, you feel like a noodle too? Do we noodle-fy all you guys out there? And that is one thing I should have mentioned beforehand, is that to help get in tune with, and then if you want to continue this practice throughout the week, this is your homework. Focus on your heart when you meditate, and be grateful. That feeling of gratitude comes from the heart. So if you really want to channel that feeling, I should have told you guys before, but I'm just sort of like doing this I'm just sort of, going at this, flying by the seat of my pants here. Witch King is feeling a bit more relaxed. Awesome. Yeah, and when we get into that hub that I call it, it's weird. It's like you start to shed layers of negative emotions. Yeah, there you go. Feeling empty, but not in a bad way, like clear, open. Awesome. Megan didn't follow along with the meditation, but the beat was pretty calming. Awesome. Tiffany. Yeah, sometimes. So another thing too, Tiffany says her body was hurting in the pose after a bit, so he came out of it. Yeah, this is kind of this pose. It takes some physically getting used to, because you want to keep your posture as straight as possible, and then sometimes your legs go numb. So if that's the case, you can always, even during the meditation, just like put your legs out and stretch them. It's quite common when you first start doing this pose for that to happen. But like when I started doing it every day, then it finally started. My body started getting used to it and stuff. Oh, you just got here, Brett. You missed the meditate. You did, but you can also watch this video back, and and also I'm going to be uploading it onto the YouTube, and also an episode of the Spewtron podcast. Oh my goodness! I'm going to take this audio and put it up. My podcast is Spewtron. It's available wherever you listen to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I get further in depth about techniques and spirituality and philosophy. Like I'm just about like questioning the nature of our existence, because we don't do that enough. Because anytime you start talking about what are we, then for some reason that's a hot button topic this day and age. And it shouldn't be. We should just talk about it openly, because the only thing we know for sure is that we're all alive and that we're all gonna die. So why is any topic about death or what happens thereafter, why is that taboo? Like we should have healthy conversations and communications about this stuff. Is it on TuneIn? Possibly. I upload it through Podbean, and it just goes to all of the different aggregate sites and stuff. Yeah. Anybody have any questions about? So I definitely want you guys, if you followed along with me, continue the practice throughout this week, and just 20 minutes a day. It can radically change your life. A lot of people, like some people throughout the week, were asking me about like what they can do for anxiety at work, and I recommend doing your 20-minute meditation before you go to work, because it puts you in that state of coherence where you shed these negative emotions and this release, and then those effects, like this is neuroscience, they've tested it. The effects of meditation last at least like 8 hours throughout the day. So if you need to get through your day at work, coffee is a different subject, but like instead of or with your morning coffee, do your meditation, make it a part of your morning routine, and that way you're more equipped to handle the stresses of your day. And I encourage you guys all to do, if I've piqued your interest in meditation, start looking at, there are so many different ways to meditate, like it's insane. And I think maybe next week, I don't know, I want to start touching on Kundalini yoga, because I want you guys to get, everybody that's following along, like I'm so stoked for you guys. But I want to get you guys to get a grasp of that hub. We got to get to that special place where you lose all thought and you become like nothing and everything at all. So has anybody that was practicing meditation since last week, have you felt like you've gotten into some sort of what I was kind of describing, that hub where it's like you go somewhere else? Anybody experienced that yet? Gillimax asked if I have any recommended background noises or playlists to stream while meditating. And I say try out different things, like rhythmic drumming. Anything that keeps the same type of tempo is really nice. I've tried some meditations with music, instrumental music. Don't listen to anything with lyrics, because that can it gets you thinking. It puts thoughts in your head. But rhythm is just the feeling. So go for any kind of calming, any kind of music that you like. Also, solfeggio frequencies. If you just type that in, there's automod stop solfeggio frequency. Randy, yeah, there's different frequencies that do different things. 528 hertz is really great. 432 hertz is really great. So you could try that. Also, isochronic tones. I've just been playing around with those, which are really cool. It's just a tone that's, again, just like a drum. It's like woo, 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 woo. And it just lulls you into this like state of, when you meditate, you want to get into the theta range. So anything to do with theta waves, it's also good. That also, you can listen to theta waves when you sleep, and it'll help you dream. The meditative state is it's almost like a dream state. Which, again, we all have dreams, so you know what that's like. Tiffany's started doing it 5 minutes right before bed and 5 in the morning. Started making a great difference with her insomnia and anxiety. Now I do it. Now it can do it 20 to 30 minutes. Nice. Yeah, so experiment, try them out. And then throughout the week, as you guys do your own practice, I want to hear your tips. If you guys figure out something that worked really good for you this week, next week, let me know about it. And let's share. I want to make this like a community that is excited to explore the depths of your own mind and body and psyche. Whether you believe in the spirit or you believe in the mind, you know that you have a mind. So this is all we're doing, is exploring our mind and getting in tune with our bodies and our minds. So if that's exciting to you, I'm excited to have you guys. I'm going to do my best to every Sunday at noon Pacific time to stream one of these. And each time I'll try to do a little bit different of a variation on the meditation and show you guys like things that I've got things to show you a little bit more advanced too, like activating the pineal gland, some Kundalini yoga, like all kinds of fun stuff. And then Witch King says they've been dreaming a lot more since playing the 432 hertz while they sleep. Yep. Oh, also binaural beats is a really fun thing to try out. But you have to use headphones for it. It's where you have one frequency in one ear and then slightly off frequency in the other ear. So when you just listen to one earbud, you hear woo. But then when you put you listen to two frequencies at once, your brain tries to split the difference between the two frequencies, and it creates a third frequency that is completely imaginary. So instead of hearing a tone of woo, you hear this woo, 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 and it's like your brain is completely creating that. And then it entrains your brain to whatever hertz that frequency is. So if you're trying to get into the theta range, also you can do this if you're working. Here's another great thing. Listen to binaural beats while you work, because they have binaural beats that put your brain into alpha waves, which our brains are in alpha wave. And this is neuroscience, so this isn't like crazy spirituality talk. It's just, this is neuroscience. So when your brain, you're actively thinking and stuff, you're in the alpha range. So you can actually listen to binaural beats when you're working or writing or doing anything like creative, and it can actually spark your creativity and your brain. So there's so many crazy things that you could do. Randy heard that kitties get on the same frequency with us as we meditate. Tiffany says her kitten enjoys meditation, no joke. Yeah, animals are super empathic, and they feel frequency. They're way more than we do. And frequency, again, science. So that's, our pets are very in tune with that. So if you pay attention to your pet when you start meditating and see if they're into it. Awesome. Yeah. Gillian. Yeah, it's just I definitely. All right, so everybody's homework is to spend this week in your meditation, focus on your heart and connecting your brain and your heart. However you want to think about that. Like I talked about, like dancing with your heart or just getting to know your heart. You can even just think thoughts to your heart. Envision that your heart is a separate being, like it's your friend, is part of you, and talk to your heart like you talk to yourself, but specifically talk to your heart. Ask your heart if you're sad or you're hurting, or you need to ask your heart, like, why? Why am I hurting? What can I do to make this better? And then pay attention to the circumstances of your life. Because I've documented like this since last year, my journey to self-improvement. I realize it all boils down to just paying attention. The more you pay attention to the circumstances of your life and the more that you believe that things aren't as random as they seem, the more you start to put the pieces together and the more you can see the bigger picture of your puzzle. That's my spiel. Anybody got any questions before we send you guys off into your lovely Sundays? But if not, that's your homework. 20 minutes every day. Just clearing your mind and just focusing on you. Connect with your heart. Once you start connecting with your heart, your meditations are really that's when your practice is really gonna start to take off. I'll give it just a little bit more, just in case anybody's got any questions. Oh, thanks, Witch King. And Tiffany, thank you. We love you guys too. Seriously, like, I want you guys to know that I don't know most of you, but these times that this is my mission, is just to connect on, a human level. And, so I don't have to like know you guys to know that we're all humans and we're all like, once you start tapping into yourself, you tap into how connected we are with everybody. So the fact that you guys are here is important. And if you're here and you're hearing my words, you're supposed to be here. Your guides guided you here to hear this message. So something that I said can help you in your life. Not everything I said can apply to you, but there are nuggets of wisdom in what I say. So take what I say and take what works for you and then put it into your own practice and become the best version of you that you can be. No religious dogma, no nothing. We're just here to connect as humans and become the best individuals that we can be so that we can create the best collective world that we can. So, all right. On that note, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much. And throughout the week, I will be streaming art stuff from weekdays, 1 p.m. Pacific time to at least 4 p.m. Pacific time. So that's where you can find me weekdays doing some art stuff. And then every Sunday at noon Pacific, we'll be doing stuff like this. So thank you guys so much. This has been really wonderful. I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm in like a fucking awesome mood right now. So you guys go enjoy the rest of your week. Do that 20-minute meditation and then let's talk. And also, for those of you that are in the Twitch, you can join the Discord. There's Moobot. You can discuss techniques and things in there. And also, if you want to hear my deep dives into spirituality and all kinds of topics, my podcast, Cig Neutron Spewtron. This is the year I'm really trying to make my podcast like a thing. So I would appreciate it if you guys take the time to give it a listen. And if anything I say in there inspires you, share it with people. It's like I put a lot of effort into like trying to help people. So definitely give the podcast a listen. Cig Neutron Spewtron, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Sorry to do the spiel, but got to. All right. Have a great day, everybody.